The Idris Elba-led series has a fairly huge ensemble cast, which together they use to create an intense and heart-pounding thriller with a ton of innovative story twists. Sam realizes that the hijackers themselves are simply tools in a much wider conspiracy orchestrated by an incredibly deadly criminal organization, despite his best efforts to neutralize the dangers on Kingdom Flight 29. HIJACK's first 4 episodes purposefully kept the hijackers' goal unclear, but things suddenly changed in Episode 5 when an innocent passenger named Sheena was killed. Once the Cheapside firm was revealed to be the masterminds of a sizable illegal trade network operating throughout Europe, the initial ambiguous suspense that the show began with finally turned into a really scary menace. When Robin Allen was shot dead in the previous episode, the issue of whether the plane would land safely or crash arose as it got closer to London. On the plane, there were around 200 passengers. Even for Louise and Neil, it appeared impossible to save them by bringing in outside assistance. The plan needed to be carried out from the aircraft. Sam was once more put in a difficult situation, and it was up to him to negotiate a successful landing for the aircraft. The wild card entry, the name of the enigmatic woman, was finally made known while Edgar was on the run. Here is a thorough summary of HIJACK's last episode. Sam reasoned that assaulting the hijackers would help bring the jet under control and allow Robin to land it. As far as Sam was concerned, the idea was now history. He was aware that he was facing a larger issue. The passengers believed they could easily rush into the cockpit and land the jet after Robin was shot dead. Sam made an effort to persuade the angry passengers that Stewart and the other hijackers were not the true issue at hand. The person operating the aircraft was the same woman who had shot Robin. Sam finally pounded this idea into everyone's minds after much effort. Who was the woman piloting the plane was now the main concern. Stewart didn't recognize the woman. Although he and the other hijackers were restrained, he insisted that she was not a part of their scheme. On her seat, the passengers discovered a bag. Her name was Amanda, and it was evident from that she was a mother. Sam attempted to call Amanda on the landline in the cabin, but Amanda had disconnected it. She was certainly not in the mood to be persuaded to leave the cockpit. A man who recognized Amanda's situation came forward to solve the puzzle. He was the same man Sam had assisted in boarding and who had been the last to board the aircraft. He acknowledged doing the exchange with Devlin and assisting in getting the weapons on board. He struck the deal because Devlin had taken his partner hostage, and he was aware that Elodie, Amanda's daughter, was also being held captive. Amanda served as the hijacking scheme's fail-safe. She was instructed to kill the pilot and seize control of the cockpit if everything else failed. The authorities in Collingwood Hall realized that John Bailey Brown and Edgar Jansen were merely stooges. The main objective was to conduct a bear raid on the market, which involves placing bets against a dropping stock in an effort to profit from it. Edgar experienced a superb example of his surprising writing while he was watching the value of Kingdom Airlines stock decline. Every minute, Edgar was making a profit of $18 million from the trade. John was standing next to him, and he asked Edgar to tell Amanda to tell the plane to land. You may wonder, why wasn't he sending the message? He was only a gregarious man. He wanted the plane to crash so that he could make the most money possible from the deal that Devlin had arranged with the passenger whose partner he had kidnapped. John made an effort to persuade Edgar to contact Amanda about making a landing since he didn't want the plane to go down. It was a marvel that Devlin had picked them out of all the other high-profile criminals to act as the pawns in this cunning scheme to get money. When John noticed that Edgar wasn't appreciating their situation, he gave the order to another hitman, possibly John's partner, to execute Edgar. John probably called Devlin to arrange the deal before he and his accomplice fled the country. Poor Amanda never got a message, so she kept bringing the plane's altitude down. Elodie could survive if she crashed the jet, so she was going to do that. Sam tried to talk sense into Amanda when he learned that she was doing everything because her daughter Elodie's life was in peril. He'd assured her that the men who had abducted her daughter would kill her whether or not Amanda made the landing. He knew she wouldn't pay attention unless Elodie was brought up, and Sam was successful in doing so. He was allowed to enter the cockpit by Amanda. Sam was doing all in his power to convince Amanda, an aviation consultant, not to crash the plane. She was going to crash the plane because she knew how to fly it, had changed its course from its intended course, and hadn't heard from Edgar. She actually became aware of the monster she was becoming when Sam played on her emotions and included Elodie in the conversation. There were more than 200 passengers. In order to save her daughter, she was prepared to crash the plane killing every single one of them. She also felt guilty, and with good reason. She killed Robin. She even worried that she might be detained if the plane touched down. Sam needed to find a method to reassure her that she wouldn't be detained, but simply saying so wouldn't work. In order to command that, he needed a powerful person. Fortunately, a British air traffic control employee discovered a passenger's mobile number. The Wi-Fi had been turned back on when he dialed the number, so he was able to connect. Alice Sinclair, who had been attempting to reach the pilot non-stop, was on the other end of the queue when Sam picked up the phone. She communicated with Neil, the Home Secretary, and when Sam informed him that Amanda genuinely needed assurances that she wouldn't be detained, Neil was forced to issue Amanda's pardon under the circumstances. After feeling relieved, Amanda attempted to land the aircraft with the assistance of Sam. For a brief period, British fighter jets threatened to shoot the plane down. But as the authorities discovered Amanda was the pilot, the jets stood down. Sam and Amanda were now in charge of making the plane land. Alice directed them to the closest landing strip, even though KA-29 was running low on fuel as a result of the deviated course. Everyone on board was saved from death when Amanda expertly controlled the plane and brought it down. Sam was to blame. To take the hijackers into custody, the police were ready. Although they were successful, Stewart continued to hide inside the plane and was not in the correct headspace. He had misplaced his sibling in a fake hijacking. Sam was the sole man still on the aircraft, and he needed his vengeance. Sam once again outdid the hapless hijacker Stewart in his attempt to kill him, and Stewart was apprehended before he could cause any more harm. Would Devlin be apprehended? Possibly yes. I only mention this because Danny was successful in apprehending the two hitmen who were abducting Sam's son. Along with the other hijackers, they would be interrogated, and undoubtedly some progress would be made. Sam had reached his native country at last. He understood how lucky he was to have survived, but he also understood that he should never have gotten on the plane in the first place. Sam had to explain to his son that although his ex-wife was content with Danny, he had come to realize that Danny was a good man after Danny protected him from the hitmen.